heavy,
bored.
And I have more to read about this, listeners, but I just wanted to talk about this section first. The listener writes in academic spaces, where they talk about academic spaces. What do we mean by academic spaces? I think what this listener is referring to is the fact that universities have a monopoly on the writing workshop. And that used to be great. That used to be a way to ensure that writers could make a living while still kind of being immersed in their field. But now it's become a hazard. And it's become a hazard where they call it any specific reference to what is called workshop culture, right? Workshop culture. What do we mean by that? Or what do you think, listeners, somebody would mean by workshop culture? I think they mean there are rules, right? There are rules to what can be submitted to a workshop. There are rules to what can be said in a workshop, right? There are sensibilities. And of course, this is the thing you're not allowed to say, but it is all political sensibilities, usually DNC sensibilities, as I've mentioned before, where it seems that most art, even in workshops, it's actually even worse in workshops than it is if you go to like the New Yorker or something and you're looking at reviews or critics, where there's a strict adherence to an ideology and it kind of suffocates anything outside of that. So if you're trying to do something a little different, if you're trying to do something a little new, and you're going to an MFA or a PhD program and you're going into those workshops, there is an expected culture. That means that if you write something that you're a little nervous about, or that goes to a certain place that people are uncomfortable with, you will get reamed out in the workshop. And that'll discourage you from wanting to write that piece, right? There are words that are off limits. I've been in some of these workshops and it's just, I mean, I know everybody has. It's incredible. I didn't have terrible things happen to me, although there were times where the workshop would get hijacked. For example, workshop culture right now, if you're a man and you write about basic male sexuality, i.e. finding women attractive, sexually appealing, if a character has sexual fantasies about a female character in the book, you will be accused of perpetuating some type of patriarchal misogyny, right? Because you're writing about an honest thing that exists in the world. Straight men are attractive to women. That's just what it is, right? But that is one of the part of the workshop culture that if you turn in a poem or a book, poem or a story or, a novel to a workshop, part of a novel, whatever, and you have some type of explicitly sexual material in there, and I mean explicitly sexual, and I don't even mean it has to be like graphic pornography or anything like that. I just mean literally it has to be a male character either obsessing or even in love, right? Like if you have an obsessive male character in love with a female character, you will be taken to task according to a political ideology that permeates everything in the workshop. And this is reinforced. And again, it's kind of like Noam Chomsky's manufacturing consent, right? These people don't understand that they're enforcing this kind of Red Guard Soviet style of art, but they are enforcing it. It's kind of just like a self-selection process, right? If you look at jobs, hiring practices in the field, it's hostile to the canon. In fact, every creative writing job, writing teacher job that I've looked at in the last 5 years specifies something about destroying the canon. They don't want to hire anybody that doesn't want to destroy the canon. So they want to undermine the authority of literature and all that kind of stuff. And they basically, this is the kind of manufacturing consent apparatus that Chomsky wrote about all those years ago. It's worth reading, listeners. So there is this idea of workshop culture, but I would like to know what you think about workshop culture, because again, what I just talked about, not very eloquently, I admit, is one aspect of workshop culture. But there are more, right? There are more. And it'd be interesting to have this kind of series where we go in and discuss the different aspects of workshop culture, or what somebody would call workshop culture.
Resources, American resources.
Being bored?
Some activities are intentional, right?
It shows such a lack of gratitude for life. Bored. I aspire to boredom, I should say.
Bored.
heavy. recognize the night sweats and the day sweats, pal? Pal, I do.